fiscal year or school year. And I particularly appreciate you coming out because I know it's tough to park here during the farmers market. And also we have the Buffalo Bills game tonight.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a few remarks that I'd like to make. I'm Len Lyons, the vice president. Our president, Ellen Frisch, is home with COVID. So she asked me to fill in, and hopefully you'll see her next month. But I have a few remarks that I'd like to make, but I want to hold those into the end. But I promise if you'll just wait 5 minutes when the program is over, we'll get you out of here real quickly. And with that, I'd like to introduce Cricket Quinn, who's going to introduce our speaker for tonight.
I'm very excited to introduce you to Kelly and Don tonight. Kelly is a real Renaissance kind of person. She studied theater and set design in college, and she worked at Hillside Children's Center. She's a small business owner, and she's involved with the New York State Restaurant Association. In 2010, she and her husband opened up Marshall Street Bar and Grill, or Grill and Bar. And in 2018, they opened up the Union Tavern, which used to be the Reunion Inn. And they spent a lot of time and energy during the pandemic on renovations inside and outside the building. And one of the interesting things tonight, we'll be learning about the encounters people have shared with you about it being haunted. So we'd like to give Kelly and Don a warm welcome.
Yes, we're recording this.
You're being recorded.
This is you?
It's done.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Okay, what time is the Bills game?
8:20.
What's that?
8:20.
Okay, we got time. Done. And my timekeeper?
Got it.
Excellent, wonderful, because I understand. So first I want to say I am not a historian. I am not a professional fact checker. For those of you who are, I commend you because the rabbit holes I've gone down since starting this project are insane. Every time I find one fact, the next page or the next book I look at finds a completely contradicting fact. So it's been a challenge, but I will tell you what I know. I've already heard some stories I haven't heard yet tonight, so I'm really excited. If you have facts that I don't know, please send them to me or give me a call or stop down and I'd be happy to share. So, okay. Don is my button clicker
That's
tonight.
me.
All right, Don, go ahead. So I broke it up into 3 parts. First, we'll talk about the property as a family home. Second is the commercial properties. And then to the fun part, the legends. Okay. So yeah, this is me. As Cricket said, my husband and I opened Marshall Street Bar and Grill in 2010. I was still working at Hillside Children's Center at the time, and then slowly got more involved, and then got involved with the New York State Restaurant Association. And that's much more where I fit. Don is great to be in front of people, and I am great to be advocating and doing things behind the scenes. So this is a little nerve-wracking for me tonight, but I'm gonna do my best. We have a wonderful dog, and that is our only child, and he gets a lot of love and attention. If you come into the Union, you'll see his picture many different places. Actually, Barney and Steve, when they sold the property, one of the things that they did not give away was the picture of Lincoln, and they gave that to us because of that Lincoln. So Abraham Lincoln.
There's a picture of Abraham.
Abraham Lincoln,
Yep.
and our dog Lincoln.
And our dog's name.
Yes. Look, I was there. I have 2 other businesses, K&B Consulting, where I do small business consulting with people in the restaurant industry or any other industry. And I also have a group called Bossy. It is a group that supports women business owners in the Rochester area. We have over 500 members. So if you did not know, there are over 500 women business owners in Rochester. Check out our website, bossyrock.com, and you can learn all about them. Okay. All right, here we go. Go ahead, Don, next one. So the very first person to be on the property is a gentleman named Sir Sylvester Woodman. Some places it says Humphrey, but Sylvester seems to be the more common name that we've heard about. He was alleged to have been a pirate, which I always thought was funny when I heard that until I fell down my first rabbit hole with the Great Lakes Pirates, because that is a thing, and there's a whole section of the National Museum of the Great Lakes dedicated to Great Lakes pirates. It was real. It was a lot easier to go after boats in the Great Lakes because they were smaller and didn't have as many people. So Mr. Woodman was alleged to have been a pirate, and he built the property. He bought the property from a man named John Hornby, which you'll see his name in that pretty red book over there on that table that I did a lot of research from. So they bought the property. It was about 100 acres, so pretty much all of Seabreeze belonged to that property. He lived there with his wife Abigail. They had no children, and they were buried on the property, which is right where the cemetery was, where Salty Bread Pizza is, that area, and then everybody was moved down to the Irondequoit Cemetery at some point. So he was the first one there. The only real documentation I found is in the Centennial Book, where it says he was at the first town meeting in 1938. That's a typo, and he was the oldest gentleman there at 78. Only like official information I have other than things that people have written up about it. So that is Sir Woodman. Okay. And now we get to the Bradstreet. So that's the main family they're the family that built this property. There are still Bradstreets around today. Actually, for anybody who knows the previous owners, Barney and Steve, Barney and I met, and he handed me this, which I'm so excited to dive into, but haven't had a chance yet. But this is the entire history of the Bradstreet family from 1940 on, all written in old handwriting. So I'm gonna go through that, and then I'll give Cricket a update on that and see what else we can find out about them. But the family came over, they settled in Massachusetts. Simon Bradstreet, who we can find some information on, was the 20th governor of Massachusetts. So a real prominent family. They came into Irondequoit in early, I think it was like late 1838. Oh, is it written up there? So, good job, class. So far, you're doing a great job. So yeah, they moved into Irondequoit in 1838. They bought the property in 48. Samuel started building in 1854. It took 2 years, 1856. The brick building that stands today was finished. The foundation from the wooden property is still there. So I think it might be one of the oldest in Irondequoit, and I'll show you pictures later where you can see the 2 different foundations, which is pretty cool. So when you go down into the basement, and you're all welcome to come give a tour, I do all the time, I love it. You can actually see where the original farmhouse stood. Let's see. He lived there with his wife Lavinia. We know that he had a son named Samuel. Depending on where you look, Samuel was it. He perhaps had another son named Addison, and some sites show him having about 13 kids. So, I don't know if you've experienced this when you've done history before, but it was very strange to me. But we'll go over that in the next slide. He was a Black Hawk war captain. He was the 8th town supervisor of Irondequoit. I was able, one thing I did find that Barney gave me is a report from somebody in the family that wrote about Samuel V and says that he was a commercial fisherman, also grew wheat and tobacco that got shipped all over the world. So that's information that we have directly from somebody in the family. So I'm really looking forward to going through that some more. There's a bunch of stuff that said that he had an accident in one of the swamps, but in this information that I just got from the family, says that he was killed in 1860 at the grade crossing at North and Portland when a pair of young cults ran away, and ran away is in quotes in that, so I don't know if that alludes to something else or or what exactly that means, but that's the information we have on Samuel. Okay. So, not really sure, I don't know how clear this is coming through, or it's because I have my glasses on. So this is something that was from Ancestry.com that lists a lot of children. Something I found on genealogy says that Samuel was first married to Lavinia's sister Anne, and then I'm assuming Anne perished, and he met up with Lavinia, married her, and had a bunch of other children. And then I found Addison's obituary, which lists a couple, one brother and 3 sisters. So not really sure how many children he had. Not too important to me, but we do have a lot of people coming through and doing spiritual work in there, and they are very interested to know how many children they had. So unfortunately, this project did not get me any closer to that, but at least I have some names, so. Okay. And a lot of these names, you don't have to go back, are in the family history dating back to 1400, so it does make sense that that possibly could. In one of these reports that I got from the family, Lavinia moved after 1860. She moved to 3775 Culver Road. In the map of 1887, it does have her listed there still in that property, so whether she stayed on or not, we're not sure. Maybe it was just still under her name. Okay. All right, now we get to Frank Crouch. Has anybody heard his name before? No. So he was one of the gentlemen that took over the railroad. So I've been hearing about him when we first moved in because there was a really, really interesting story about him. So I knew, once I did some research, I knew that he did take over the railroad, but there's always been this story. I can pass this around. Where is it? Pardon me. That the charter for Irondequoit Country Club was written in our building. So that was a story we were told, and it kind of made sense because Irondequoit Country Club is in Pittsburgh and makes no sense.
Yeah.
So when we talked to Barney and Steve, they said, oh yeah, they came in and they wrote the charter here. One of the reasons they wanted, that Frank wanted to have it here was because he owned the railroad and that would just keep people coming in and in and in. And that the property was great, the area was great, so the golf course was going to be from Culver Road, which I think was Culver Road at that point. It had been Woodman Road up until then, named after Sylvester. So they were gonna have the house be the, what's that word? Clubhouse. And then the golf course would be from Culver all the way to the woods. Unfortunately, it did not get to last there. They never built the golf course because they decided a lot of the people were settling, a lot of people with money were settling just south of the city. So that's why it ended up in Pittsburgh. So I've always told this story because we do work with Irondequoit Country Club with the Restaurant Association, and I was able to get this letter from Barney, and this letter states that indeed the opening of the Irondequoit Country Club at Seabreeze, and it goes on and on to tell all about it. So we actually have documentation from June 3rd, 1901 that did indeed happen. So it's very cool. Like Barney tells the story. Nervous. Barney tells the story that one of the general managers of Irondequoit Country Club came through and brought them this and said, hey, can we do a party for 100? We want to do the 100th anniversary of the country club. And he said, no, we can't host that many people. And we ended up not doing it, but we were able to get this out of it. So that's very cool. Excuse me for one moment. Yeah, thank you. All right, so that's who Frank Crouch was. He had the property at some point after 1887 and into the early 1900s. Okay. So here's the timeline that I've been able to piece together from property cards that I've gotten and the manifest. So these are all the families that lived there. Sir, what was your name again?
Luke Bolt.
So he is related to the Gephardts here, so he was able to give me some additional information, which was very cool. we'll get to it in a couple of slides, but these are all the families that own the property before Don and I purchased in 2019. So, some people I was able to get information on, some I was not. I was very excited because in 1937, Fred Yaman, I don't know how, we have another deed for them, and it was Yaman Metal Products. And I got really excited, Don, can you do the next slide? That it was this Yaman from Yaman and Herb, but I found out it wasn't, it's Philip Yaman, so. I was on that rabbit hole for a while. But Philip Yaman did a lot of really great things for libraries, so I thought that would have been cool to be able to share, but unfortunately, it's not my Yaman, it's a different Yaman. Okay. So, now we get to the restaurants. So, I just learned that in 1949, when the Gephardts owned it, they owned a restaurant called Eddie's Grill.
Eddie's Culver Inn.
Eddie's Culver Inn. So that was a restaurant. I have no information about that, so I'm super excited. So that seems to be the first commercial property that was there. Okay, done. So these are the other things. So I had gotten, when we moved in, Barney left us this. I had a couple newspaper clippings and matchbooks so we could know what was what. So I don't believe that this seems like maybe it was down closer to the lake. I'm not sure. That's from 1942. Has anybody heard Vince's Place before? Has that popped up anywhere? So I don't know, but it was in there, so I figured it was important, so I thought I'd put it in. Parkside Inn was owned by the Dohertys. Before that, it was owned by the Terry family, and that's a whole other story we'll get into next. And that's a little newspaper clipping of when Haley Brummett bought it. So that one maybe rings a bell. They had Haley's Steakhouse, which was what the property was before the Reunion Inn. So we know that in the 50s, Parkside Inn was owned by the Dohertys. But before that, it was for 2 years, go ahead, was owned by this gentleman, Ross Virgo.
Oh.
So Ross is a famous boxer, and Ross, I'm not sure when he opened, I think it was after this. So he couldn't get a liquor license. I learned this from Barney. So and I highlight those names because those are the names that are on the deed. So Thomas Terry and his wife, and Joyce, which was Ross's wife, that was legally the name because apparently he couldn't get a liquor license. So it must have went well because 2 years after owning the Parkside Inn, he opened a restaurant called the Dickens. It was in
Downtown, oh, yeah.
So he got his start here in Seabreeze and worked out all the kinks and then moved up to East Ave. So he owned that property. So that was one that took us a long time to kind of find factual information. And Barney had said, oh, it's with this one family, I think their name is Terry. I couldn't find anything until I found his obituary and I was like, oh, there's the names. So that was one we could at least have documentation on. Okay, Don. So Haley's Steakhouse. Does anybody remember Haley's Steakhouse?
No.
Has anybody heard stories about Haley's Steakhouse? So I won't offend anybody if I start telling the stories I've heard about Haley's Steakhouse. I took out what I originally had, just in case. But all I hear is he was a little bit crazy, always a little bit crazy, and always a little bit drunk. So he was a very interesting character. He owned a property between 1960 and 1970. There's rumors of him taking himself up and down the, that help me? Dumbwaiter, naked, and surprising guests, because at that point, there was just the tavern downstairs, and the top floor was the apartment where he lived. So there's all sorts of stories about him just doing crazy stuff, running around outside, being foolish and silly. So he seems like a guy we would probably want to hang out with. He seems like a lot of fun, but there's lots of stories about him. We have 4 small glasses. What would you call them? The glassware that we have from Haley's? The stemware.
Aperitif
Yeah.
glasses?
They're small, they're needle glasses, but somebody brought them in and said these were we have had them since Haley's, so we're very excited to have those. So we have those displayed in the restaurant now. So he had it for 10 years. Like I said, heard it was a great space, a lot of fun. And in 1970, he sold he left the restaurant and it sat vacant for a little while. And it then became the Reunion Inn. So has everybody been into the Reunion before? Okay, I think I saw you in the picture there. So Barney and Steve owned the property from 1971 until we purchased it in 2019. That is unheard of in restaurant world. Two friends, they had no family relation to have a property for that long. So we have a quick little video. Fun play. I think there's gonna be a commercial quick, so I apologize about that.
Forward is
It'll go,
giving
like, really
companies
quickly.
unique plans and solutions for their organization.
I couldn't figure out how to take it out because this is all new to me. Oh, good. All right, whew, that was fast fun.
Well, the place is haunted, for one thing. Over the years, we've done a lot of, things with, ghost people and stuff like that. We used to have a Christmas tree over the corner, went all the way up to the next ceiling. And, it would take probably sometimes 8 to 10 guys to bring the thing
Still
in.
there. And softball teams?
Many softball teams. We had those, we had touch football teams, we had a lacrosse team, we had bowling teams, dart teams.
People that start coming here when they're 18, their grandchildren are now coming in. And a lot of those, oh my God, how many people met here got married?
Yeah, tons of romances started here, and people are married now, they got kids, they got grandkids, and they're still coming back.
So there's a lot of memories wrapped up in here. What made you decide to put it up for sale?
Our age. Yeah, we figured we've been here almost 50 years, and we thought, this is probably about the best time to do it. So that we can still, have a few more years of, enjoy our lives too.
I mean, I hope that the next people can have as much fun as we had.
Yeah, it's been very good, very successful, a lot of fun, a lot of good memories, a lot of good people.
Factors could be particularly relevant.
I'm not sure. Let's hit a button.
Forward is giving companies unique plans and solutions for their organization.
Oops. All right, well, please. There we go. And then, is that? All right, here we are. That was your commercial break. So, this is Jim and Barney. They were looking for a place. The story that we heard was that they were looking for a place to hold their high school reunion, and Hallie's had been sitting empty, and they said, hey, let's give it a try. So that became a place to do high school reunions for as long as they had it, and we still have been doing high school reunions there. We get lots of requests for that a lot. So they had the property from 71 to 75. It was just a bar. It was just the first floor. They had apartments in the upstairs. And then there was a gentleman, he just told me the story. There was a guy who used to hang out, and he was an architect, and he used to hang out and drink, not all day long, but sounds like kind of all day long, and would just doodle all the time, drew all these ideas he'd have on napkins. And one day he said, you're gonna make more money if you can turn this into a restaurant instead of just a bar. Why don't you turn the upstairs into a dining room? It's like, I'm not sure how to do that because, there was just no feasible access to the upstairs from that area. So they had talked about putting a spiral staircase in, and like, you don't really want spiral staircase for people that have been drinking, so maybe not a good idea, and they really wanted to do something grand. So this gentleman would just sit and draw and draw and draw, and one day he's like, this is how we'll do it. And in 1976, the stairs were completed. So if you've been in that building, those stairs are majestic. They're really incredible. We actually have people come in and take pictures on them all the time. We tell them to do their prom pose, so they're like one step up from each other. It's a lot of fun. So I can't go on about how great these guys are. I could go on for hours. They're just wonderful. Barney was just in this weekend giving me all of this information. we did a tour, he told me stories upon stories of things that happened there, and it's a neat space. So that's a picture from the early 80s, what it looked like. And they were really great to work with. Don and I had been interested in the property for some time. So the first time we went in, we really felt like it was the right move. It took a long time to get there, but we finally got there. So go ahead to the next one. I just have a couple pictures that we found on the internet of them. So there's a lot. If you Google, if you hung out there a lot, there are a lot of pictures. You may want to see if you're in some of them. It's really funny when we were, it was the women's bathroom. All the bathrooms are just regular bathrooms now. What was on the walls before we took it? Oh, there was a rug on the wall. But we took down one layer of the wall and paneling, and there was just graffiti, like great graffiti of all these people's names and dates and really cool things. So when we were remodeling, we took pictures and posted them. We're like, if this is you and you want like this piece of wall, we're gonna take it down, come get it. And we had a couple people like, oh my God, that's me, or that's my mom, oh my gosh, that's my mom. And we saved a couple that had Don written on it, so that's still in our basement there. The rest of it we had to get rid of. And that's that Christmas tree they were talking about. We do a 14-foot Christmas tree as well. Ours is not real, it is artificial. It looks quite real, but I had no interest in dealing with a tree that size every year. So we have a beautiful tree that goes up every year. Okay. So yeah, that's Billy Riddle. For those of you who hung out there a lot, he bartended there 4 years. And then that's in the attic. The first time we went through, there's like a little secret passageway to get through the attic because it's kind of covered up. And we went up and that was the first thing we saw. So that's still up in the attic. I guess that was there from a Halloween party they had one year. So someday we'll take it down, but that's how you get up to the cupola, which is just the most amazing view. So we're gonna try and figure out how we can get that a little bit more accessible so people can go up there because it's really a neat thing to see. Okay. And that's what it looks like today. We started the process in September of 2018 with a federal grant, and then the government shut down. So that pushed everything back quite a bit, if you can remember in the before times, before the pandemic, there was that. So we dealt with that, and then we closed on the property March 8th, 2019, had a soft opening June 25th, our grand opening July 13th, February, we're like, hey, this is going really well. And March, we got shut down for 3 months because of the pandemic. So it was really bad timing for us. Not great planning on our part, but we were able to kind of keep going. If you haven't been in yet, I didn't put any pictures, and I also didn't bring menus, which I should have done. New England style food, lots of comfort food, real hearty. Try to have a focus on seafood because there's not a lot of seafood restaurants, and we're right here on the lake. If you sit out in the front, you can see the lake. So we've got some pretty great views. If you sit inside, you can see Seabreeze, which is just a joy to listen to all summer long. So that's what we are. So definitely come visit us. We'd love to have you, and just shoot me an email. It's right on the website. I'd love to give you a tour if you have any questions. If you find any more information, yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can I get a cheeseburger, french fries, and a beer? I mean, my partner can get like the fish fry, but I want a cheeseburger. Can I get a cheeseburger?
I think you should comment. Did somebody prompt you to say this?
No.
Did you prompt him? So Tuesday night,
beer and a cheeseburger.
our burgers are huge, and on Tuesday nights, it's $8 burger night. So come in on Tuesday nights, and we're gonna hope that price as long as possible.
Let me just make a comment. I assume that is a real question.
It was a real question.
Yeah.
Okay. I was there Tuesday night for their hamburger special, which is a made-to-order hamburger. And Bill Grace may talk about having the world's greatest hamburgers, but they don't, at least not on Tuesday nights. And so it's a terrific hamburger or cheeseburger, right? It's a cheeseburger. And with that, you get a wonderful helping of fries, but they're not like frozen fries that somebody just threw in a deep fat fryer. They look to me like they're homemade. And what kind of, do you put a batter on them or something?
So there's like a little bit of a coating on them.
Yeah, there's like a little starch.
Yeah.
Yeah, there seems to be a coating on it that really sets someone. Have a great beer menu, both cans and draft beer. And of course, you already talked about the fish fries on Wednesday night and on Friday night. So now that you all know some of the history of the place, I hope you'll join me, because I'm going again real soon.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So yeah, we have a lot of great, if you like beer, every third Thursday, we do beer social. We bring in a brewery or a brewer, and we do a bunch of tastings and just talk about beer. If you want to learn more about the brewery, you can do that. If you want to just taste free beer, you can do that too. What's that? And Wine Wednesday, the first or second Wednesday, we bring in, so our friend Donna, she's our wine guru. She directs us on all the great wines to have, and it's all woman focused, so it's either a woman-owned winery or a woman winemaker, and we do 6 tastings for $25, and it's every first or second Wednesday, because both of us have really busy schedules, but it's a lot of fun. All right, so now the fun stuff. So these are the legends. So one of the reasons we were interested in the property is because we heard so much. I grew up in Webster, that this place is haunted. So we are both huge, scary movie, Halloween, everything. We love all that stuff. So we felt like it was gonna be a really good fit for us. So we were pretty excited. The second night that we had it, our friend was doing some work in the kitchen, and I think he called you and said that he was hearing footsteps. I was like, it started already. So if you can hit the next slide, I can go through some of the stuff we've heard, and then I got a couple of neat things for you to watch too. So first, the legend is that it was a speakeasy, and as I was reading through some of the Irondequoit storybook, there was talk about lots of speakeasies popping up around the bay, so it's very possible that this property was a speakeasy. Of course, you can't prove it because it's not very well documented. The second is that it could have been part of the Underground Railroad. In the basement on the east wall facing the bay, there is definitely some type of hole in the wall with some type of boulder in front of it. So it could be that, it could be from when it was a speakeasy, it could just be foundation issues, and people tell us all the time, you gotta break through, and I said, we opened 6 months before a pandemic. I am not pressing my luck on anything, but I do have some pictures of that. Third is the ghosts. When we bought the property, we heard stories upon stories about how Lavinia, and who was Captain Bradstreet's wife, and several other ghosts were living with us there. One spiritualist group that Barney and Steve had come in said that there were 9 ghosts at one point, so who knows about that. Okay. So this is the hole in the wall. So it's about that high, so who knows what it could be, but I like to think it was a tunnel for something. I mean, I would love to think that it was part of the Underground Railroad, but there's no way to really kind of figure that out either. But I'd like to think that it's something, it was a tunnel to something.
Are you ever gonna open it up?
On our 20-year anniversary, when we've made all our money back and it doesn't matter if it falls. After we pay the insurance bill, then we'll knock through. So one of the other spaces that people find, we've had several medium groups come through to be a very energetic space, is the space between this doorway. So that leads to this back room where that tunnel is, but it's also the doorway between the 2 foundations. So there's times where you can just almost have your hands on either side and it almost feels like a different temperature. I don't know if it's psychosomatic and I'm doing it to myself, but I'll go down and I'm like, oh yeah, it totally feels different. I feel the energy. And that's the landing. So that's the grand staircase. We have one group called Monroe County Paranormal Investigators that have come in several times. They're our main group that we work with. They lead all of our ghost hunts. They have several encounters on that stairs. Okay. So yeah, this is the original Woodman home. So that was the brick home. So right in the middle, you have these 4 walls that's the original, which is very cool. If you'd like to come see it, be happy to show you. All right, so Monroe County Paranormal Investigators, we found them, we went to an event they were doing through the Rochester Brainerd, and just really enjoyed the way they did their presentation. They don't take money, they really just want to help people out. And they're, I don't know, they're like, we've been to a bunch of them before, and at some point it always just kind of feels staged, but these guys are like, we're not gonna tell you anything, we don't wanna lead you to any conclusions. I will play this, if you hear something, write it down, we'll see if our answers match, but they don't, they're just very, they put this stuff out there for you to kind of judge on their own. So things that they found in the house, they have a man and a woman's voice that were recorded during EVP sessions. They just found at our last ghost hunt, I was not there, it was the end of August, some really neat photographs, so hopefully they will either put them to their website or give me permission to share them, but I don't have that yet. And then an EMF session on the stairs. Can we hit the button? Oh. Yeah. Oh dear.
How big there is.
You make the sound go on? The whole point is about the sound.
Close to it again one more time to make it light up.
So this is them
That is
sitting upstairs.
Okay. Now we're gonna ask just to step back so that it stops, please.
Step back a little bit further. Good job. Keep going. Good job.
Okay. You wanted me to stay on the stairs?
And
Do you have a message
temperature and
for
stuff,
me?
so when it gets, well, I don't know how this all works, but.
Okay, step back.
Did something happen to you on these stairs?
No.
So that's the good news.
Are you trying to prevent something from happening on these stairs?
So I won't play the whole thing for you. You can find it on their website. It is a long video, but definitely something to look into.
Okay, back up again. You're doing really good.
Commercial break, everybody.
Are you afraid someone's going to fall?
Okay, back it up again. Did you know someone that has fallen on these stairs before?
There we go. All right. There we go. So anyway, check them out. They're doing a presentation with us in October. They do ghost hunts every other month. They are unfortunately all sold out. So hopefully we'll get new dates coming soon. Then we had these guys come in. This gentleman here is named Jay. He's a friend of ours, and he is a documentarist for WXXI, and they had just started to do the show called Ghost Show. So they said, we've done one already, it's a YouTube show, can we do another one? We'd love to come look at the Union. We said, yes. That was February of 2020. Another thing got postponed. But what was great was we were closed, so they were able to go through and spend several nights getting a bunch of footage. So if you hit the play button. So they put together a full hour-length presentation, or program. Oh, it's the line thing again.
Series Ghost Show. We're inviting you to join us on October 21st at Union Tavern in Irondequoit, New York, for a preview screening of an upcoming episode and investigation with our team. You can see the episodes we made in Union Tavern at Union Tavern for the first time before it's widely available on YouTube. And our entire team will be there to guide you through a paranormal investigation afterwards. The screening starts at 7, and we'll be investigating until 12:30 a.m. Tickets are on sale now. And until then, enjoy a sneak peek at the Ghost Show episode at Union Tavern. I have heard stories and stories about this building being haunted.
This whole area is being haunted, this building in particular.
I used to hear stories about the Union Tavern all the time.
And everybody around here seems to know, the stories.
A lot of people see things out of the corner of their eye. Like somebody was behind me and pushed me forward, but no one was there.
I just heard like footsteps.
I don't know who was just shifting behind me.
What the who's that?
There is somebody here. I just saw.
Fucking shadow over there.
Holy.
Hey, who's over here? I just saw you walk past. Nope.
So yeah, that's a show that they did, what's that? Commercial break again. Yikes.
Uh-oh, too far back.
Okay, so if you're interested in seeing, it's an hour-long presentation. We're gonna have it on October 27th. You can watch it right there. And these are just some things that we've heard from customers, some things that we've seen ourselves. So. I know we're getting close to Buffalo Bills time, so I will leave this for you to read, and if anybody has any questions or any experiences you've heard of or seen, I would be happy to hear about them.
What time, when was it painted white?
I'm not sure. I know it was white the entire time that it was the reunion.
Yeah.
I don't have anything in any of the property cards. I can find out when they took the porch down, but they don't have anything in there about the painting.
Your boulder that's in the basement, is that on an outside wall?
Yes.
Why not just dig down the outside? You're not gonna.
You know, we should have done.
There's a patio there.
Yeah.
That's the front patio.
Yeah, it's the front patio. If ever we redo it though, that would be a good reason to do that.
Oh, yeah, if we're digging up the patio to fix it, although we just put.
I know. Yeah.
Do you have any paranormal equipment that you've used in there on your own?
I don't, but when the guys come through, they bring all of their stuff for anybody to use.
Yeah, I just was wondering if you had any when nobody else.
Not yet, but I had to look up what some of the terminology was that it could, if you watch further in that video, and it's not very expensive, so it may be something, but I would want to get trained by them, because that stuff is, we take it pretty seriously. We don't let a ton of groups come through. They're the only group we work with. We get calls and requests all the time from different paranormal groups, and we're like, yep, if you can go through them, and they're the ones that kind of take, because we trust them, and we know they're not gonna do any harm, and if people wanna come through, they have to go through them.
Smart.
Anybody else have questions? All right, well, that's all I got for you then. Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys so much. And I believe you brought some.
Yeah, I have our October, we have something every day in October. This one isn't even finished yet, because we got several.
Can we pass those out?
Yes, please.
Or put them at the front desk or something?
Definitely.
Terrific. Very, very good.
Yes, thank you.
Before I conclude, I'd like to introduce you to the gentleman at the back of the room who's standing up, Greg Winwright. Greg is the big kahuna of the library. I don't know if he's the chief librarian or the CEO or what, but let's give Greg a hand. And Greg has become a special friend of the Irondequoit Historical Society. And every year we give a community service award to someone from the community who has just done wonderful things for us. And this year we presented it to Greg in the Irondequoit Library. So thank you very much. Thank you. For the very first time, we are through Greg in the library kind of live streaming this. And Greg, could you tell us a little bit about the technology?
Yeah, so we received a grant from Assemblyperson Sarah Clark, which provided for some camera equipment that enables us to take programs like this and broadcast them out on Facebook, Zoom, YouTube, and then in the near future, we'll also be able to have these simulcast on the ICAT local cable access channel. So it really opens up these types of events to people who are homebound, people who, like your colleague who is home with COVID, she could potentially watch this in real time, just like all of you. So it really opens up new opportunities. I just wanted to thank you and the Historical Society for what you guys do. I'm so humbled to have been presented with that award, and it's very meaningful to me personally. My father was an American history teacher, and I think what you guys are doing coincides with that, and is kind of running through the same vein as what he was doing. Also, what we do here, we preserve our shared legacy, our shared culture, and our shared history in the library, and so it's a natural partnership. And I did just want to plug one other thing. There was someone in the back who asked about ghost hunting equipment. The library has a maker's lab upstairs. We loan out equipment to do all sorts of fun hands-on crafting activities. We have sewing machines, digitization equipment, so you can convert your old VHS tapes to something you can put online or something you can put in a DVD player. Soon we're going to have a laser cutter and a laser etcher installed upstairs. But in time for October, the Friends of the Irondequoit Public Library have agreed to buy us a kit that contains some ghost hunting equipment. So if you suspect that you have something going bump in the night, you can check it out and maybe find out for sure. So be on the lookout for that. Be sure to visit our website and subscribe to our newsletter and follow us on social media, and you'll definitely see updates about that because it's a fun one. So thank you.
And Greg, tell us how we can subscribe to your newsletter.
Oh, yes, so if you head on over to irondequoitlibrary.org, I can't think of the name of, I'll have to look at the website, I'm sorry, I don't know right off the top of my head, but if you search on the search bar, newsletter, all one word, you should find the link where you can put in your email address. We send it out once a week on Monday, so you won't get inundated with junk, and we don't really send you anything else, so, and you can unsubscribe anytime you want, we won't hold it against you.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's wrap things up here as quickly as possible so we can get out and watch the Bill game. Okay, how many are here for the first time? Wow, terrific. Okay, I am so delighted that you're here. I hope you'll come again. One way to make sure that you get the announcements for our presentations is to go to the library, because they'll be the library website and get on their newsletter, because they are carrying them. But another way to get them is to join, become a member here, and Ron would be happy to sign you up, and you'll for sure get one from me every month, too. So you'll never miss a meeting. But we're so happy to have you here tonight. Our program next month, I'm really excited about. It's going to be put on by Kathy Connor, and if any of you know Kathy, she's really the second in command at the George Eastman Museum. I've gotten to know her over the years because she runs, for example, the gingerbread house thing every year, and every year I try to buy a gingerbread house if I'm not outbid, and so I've gotten to know her really well. She's going to be putting on the presentation, and as all of you know, George Eastman was a bachelor. However, he had a lot of women in his life, and she's going to make a presentation on the women in George Eastman's life. So I'm excited to see that. The other thing that we do this summer and this time of year is during the farmers markets, we man the two historic properties that are here on the campus, the Pioneer House and the Blacksmith Shop. And so if you're ever here on a Thursday night, please stop in and take a little tour of those. And they'll run as long as the farmers market is going, which is approximately the end of this month. Now, behind the Pioneer House, we have a Pioneer House kind of kitchen garden. And that is operated by Deb, one of our board members. And Deb, would you get up and just say a few words about what you may have brought?
Yeah, so, we actually this year had a Boy Scout troop rebuild the raised beds, put down new dirt and whatever, and, you know, one of our members, Roger's been helping, and then, James, the Boy Scout, his mom and dad have been coming over and helping do things, so I just went and picked a whole bunch of stuff over there. There's some bags, there's tomatoes, there's some hot peppers, there's some sweet peppers, and some basil, so please take them.
Great, Deb does not want to take those home, so.
The other thing too, that, you know, I also do the Facebook page, so, you know, we do postings for all the different events and.
Thank you for mentioning that. We have a website, which pretty much has constant information on it. But if you want to get the latest information, Deb is posting something almost every week on the Irondequoit Historical Society, not website, but Facebook page. So please check that out. Anything else that anybody wants to say before we?
Yes, you can sign up for the newsletter at irondequoitlibrary.org under the digital content menu.
Great, okay, super. All right, well, thank you all so much for coming. Thanks to our speakers, and we'll hope to see you guys soon, and particularly at our next program. With that.